Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am bringing you another weekly reading vlog for the second week in a row. So it's kind of a minor miracle that I am actually filming a second weekly reading vlog in a row, because I am so bad at doing this. We'll see whether or not this actually gets posted because I'm really bad for abandoning vlogs like 2 or 3 days in, but I am feeling suspiciously perky today, so I thought that I might as well take advantage and get this started. So it is Monday today. My last vlog went up yesterday. I have my videos scheduled fully for this week, which is like, who the hell am I? I have some good stuff coming up this week. I just did a retellings recommendations video, which I really like. I've been wanting to do that for a long time because I love retellings, but I'm super picky about them. So I wanted to do like a really fun roundup of the stuff that I've really enjoyed. But yeah, that's kind of been the evening so far. I'm back at work after being sick last week. As you may remember, my moany little face just generally being miserable for a couple of days last week. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm back at work. And yeah, things are kind of returning back to normal. In the UK, we are about a week away from stuff opening up again. Thank goodness. I'm really, really excited about that, despite the fact that I'm probably not really going to do much. But it's just good to know that like lockdown is lightening up. As I've talked about, I've really been struggling in this lockdown. It's been really, really, really hard. So kind of knowing that's on the horizon is making me feel a lot better. But we are in the last full week of March. How long do we have left? Yeah, so we've got like a week and a half of March left. I have only read 3 books this month, which is wild for me. That is not a lot of stuff. And I am now starting to feel motivated to read again, as I talked about last week. So I think that what I'm going to focus on this week is the stuff that I didn't end up finishing last week, because last week was a little bit chaotic despite the fact that I really, really wanted to read. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get some of that stuff done. So I have a few things that are on my agenda to read this week. First up is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. This is my main read for now. So I am just over 100 pages in. I've not had a chance to really pick it up since Saturday. So I've not made a huge amount of progress since the last time I talked to you guys about this book, but I'm going to have this done this week because it comes out on Thursday here in the UK. So I have a few days to go ahead and get it done for the publication date, which I would really love to do because this is really good so far. I would also like to make some progress in Network Effect. So I am just shy of 80 pages into this, and I would like to finish this up because Fugitive Telemetry, which is the 6th book, comes out in April. I have a digital review copy of that book and I would like to read that for the publication date. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this one. It's not very long as far as like novels go. It's about 350 pages, but it is the first Murderbot full-length novel. The rest of them are novellas. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how she kind of like stretches that story out. I think she does a really good job with the novellas of kind of creating a fully fleshed out story where you like care. Which can sometimes be an issue with novellas. So I'm very curious to see how that is going to sort of be different in this book. Maybe we'll get a little bit more sort of in-depth character stuff. Maybe we'll just get a more complicated plot. I don't really know, but I'm really looking forward to that. Then I am also reading The Cottingley Cuckoo by A.J. Elwood, I think. I talked about this last week. I had only just started it on my fancy new Kindle. I kind of put it aside because I wanted to prioritize The Unbroken instead because that comes out a lot sooner. The Cottingley Cuckoo comes out in April and The Unbroken comes out this week. So I am going to be finishing that up hopefully. And my last book, I think I'm gonna abandon the audiobook for A Memory Called Empire and just pick up the physical copy because I am just not really feeling motivated to pick up audiobooks at the moment. I'm really into podcasts. So I think that I might feel a little bit more motivated if I have the lovely hardback, which is currently sat on my nightstand. So those are the 4 books that I would like to read this week. If I manage to somehow read all of those, I would really like to participate in my friend Ash's new readathon. So last week she did Conquer a Chonker, which just always makes me laugh, which is a readathon that takes place over 3 days for long books, 400 plus page books. And now she's doing Sweep Your Smalls, which is anything less than 300 pages. So that would be really, really good and really motivating to kind of boost my numbers a little bit for the month of March, because as I said, I've read 3 books. One of them I was about halfway through when March started, one is a novella, and one is like a 300-page novel. We're not doing much for page count this month. So yeah, I would like to just have the opportunity to kind of get my feet under me and really try to like get my numbers up. I know it doesn't work for everyone, but the numbers game is really motivating for me. So if you hear me constantly talking about like my numbers, my book numbers, and like trying to read more and more books to get my numbers up, it's because I find that quite motivating, even if it may be like annoying for other people. I find it very motivating. So having this kind of like little readathon to help boost my numbers for March, I think will be really, really great. So it is going to be a very, very bold week. I think I may have taken on a lot on my plate, but I think that it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to seeing what I end up reading and if I can kind of finally pull myself out of this really slumpy mode that I have been in. So I have already filled up a memory card yammering on, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off and actually read some books. Hello, happy Thursday. I am currently being pinned down by Dax, who has decided that she really wants to settle down on my arm, so I don't really have a lot of mobility right now, but that's fine. It also explains why my hair isn't brushed, why I'm kind of sitting slightly awkwardly. She's just so cute. I mean, look at her. You can't really see her because she just looks like a little black lump right now, but that's okay. So it is Thursday. It has been a couple of days since I've updated, and it's been a bit of a weird week. The other day, for the first time in going on 4 years, I posted an unedited video. My unedited videos tend to have a lot of unladylike bodily function noises going on in between takes. I burp a lot and I fart a lot. So I was like petrified. I was up for like 6 hours, I think, before one of my friends messaged me and was like, I'm cracking up at your latest video. I don't think I'm meant to be cracking up at your latest video. I think you posted an unedited video, which I totally did. It's like, I watched through it, it wasn't that bad. There was no burping or farting, but I tend to like do my thumbnail stuff before I start because otherwise I will totally forget. So it was a lot of me being like, it was just really, really cringy. It's also an extensive conversation with Dax that happened. I'll do a little supercut of all the stuff that you missed right now. Of course, I am so pleased. Oh, my face is itchy. So in this book we follow, oh, what's his name? Linus. Hi! Are you standing on my stack of books? This isn't very helpful. Babe, if you want to sit in my lap, you can sit in my lap, but you can't sit on top of the books, okay? Daxie, come here. She gone. Are there 5 of them or are there 4 of them? I can't remember. I can never think of what to say at the end of these. So yeah, that was a fun time. So that got ripped right down, and then I tried to repost it and was only trying to like upload the first 2.5 minutes. It was just a really, really big mess. So we decided to take that down and just not really bother. So that was interesting. I also received this I'm interrupting my sister and Scottish husband sort of teleconferencing watching The Fifth Element. Sorry guys. But I received some really cool book post, and I've gotten some really cool NetGalley stuff. I won't talk about the NetGalley stuff because I just can't be bothered putting the images in, but I did get some really good book post. Do you want to show off, Dex? So we got The Light of the Midnight Stars by Raina Rosner. This looks really, really amazing. It's a book that combines Hungarian history with Jewish mythology, and it is comped with The Bear and the Nightingale and Spinning Silver. If that sounds a little bit familiar, that's like the exact sort of elevator pitch rundown description that I gave of The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid, which also sounds amazing. So we've got two awesome sounding books that are coming out here soon. This one comes out in April, but Ava Reid's comes out in June, I think. But this one takes place, I'm gonna imagine, in the 1940s, and in the woods we have this family with three sisters who are very magically gifted. They live very peacefully and they sort of perform these small miracles. However, they learn that there's a darkness sweeping across Europe, threatening every Jewish person in every village, and they have to each make some kind of decision that is going to impact the survival of their family. Sounds really, really good. I'm very excited for this one. And now that Dax has released my left arm, thank you for your benevolence, I can reach The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk, and hi. And this is basically Bridgerton, but make it magical. This sounds like so much fun. So we have a character named Beatrice. Filming with cats. We have this character named Beatrice, and she is practicing magic sort of in secret by herself. She wants to become a mage, but that's not really an option because her family is deeply in debt and the only way to save them is to get married. She ends up, I think she finds a grimoire and then it gets snatched up by a rival sorceress before she can sort of make use of it. This would make her like a powerful mage, kind of holds the key to this incredible magic. A rival sorceress snatches it up, and so Beatrice summons a spirit to help her, and the spirit has a price, and that is her first kiss. Naturally, the person with whom she's going to have this first kiss is that rival sorceress's very, very sexy, wealthy brother. I'm so pumped for this. This sounds amazing. I actually messaged my sister, who doesn't read fantasy but loves romance and has read all the Bridgerton books, and I sort of told her what this was about, and she's like, yeah, give me that. So at some point I'm going to be handing this over to my big sister. Both of these come out in April. I think they actually both come out on the 15th, and I'm hoping to read these really, really soon. I have decided that I'm going to start implementing a 6-week turnaround policy. I can't remember if I mentioned it in the last clip or last week. I mentioned it at some point, but I never really went into depth with it. So basically, I request a lot of books. You guys have seen my hauls. And I think it's really unfair to be requesting lots and lots of books from publishers and maybe not necessarily getting around to them in any kind of timely manner. So what I'm going to start doing is, with a certain cutoff, because I would just drive myself mad if I was trying to like do this for books that I received in like February. But I'm going to have a 6-week turnaround time for my arcs and my proofs, which means that hopefully I will be able to keep a little bit more up to date and be able to tell you about all these amazing books that I am talking about, or that I'm reading. And hopefully this means that I will be able to keep you guys a little bit more up to date with all these amazing books that are coming out, because there's so much good stuff coming out this year. Otherwise, I started a book TikTok channel, which is going to be quite the experiment. If you're interested, I'll put the link down with the rest of my social media stuff down below. I have to remember to do that. But yeah, it should be interesting. I know that book TikTok is a little bit of a scary place because it's filled with youths. I am significantly older than I think a lot of the people who are posting in book TikTok, but a lot of it is kind of like, have you heard of this underrated author named Holly Black? Or, everyone talks about Sarah J. Maas, and I feel like it would be a really, really fun way to kind of like talk about some more books, some different stuff. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't know. But that should be a fun experiment. But yeah, it's been an interesting week so far. So to now actually... God, Daxie. Now to actually talk about books, I have, if she'll let me, please don't run away, you're so cute. I have The Unbroken. I am on page 300 of this book. I've been switching back and forth between the physical copy and the digital one that I have. So this is 486 pages long. I am about 60% through this and I'm really loving it. We got to the oh fuck moment, which like we all knew was gonna happen. And it's pretty like whoa. So I'm really, really excited to see kind of how things are going to continue on, how things are going to progress, but I'm really loving this. I think that this is absolutely fabulous. In other book news, I did end up DNFing my other book that I was reading, which is The Cottingley Cuckoo. It was, I think, just not the book for me. I think there was a lot of stuff that it featured that I just didn't love. So what I wanted from this was kind of like a really tense, kind of chilling, like British story. Like, I had the British folklore and this history and like Arthur Conan Doyle and like all of this cool stuff. I thought it was going to be like that. But I think where my problem with this book comes from is, one, the fact that there's literally no tension. On like the first page of the book, the main character Rose walks into this nursing home that she's working in and is like, huh, this woman seems a little bit sinister, and then like, that's it. Like, there's no tension, there's no build-up, nothing like that, which I thought was really a shame because I think that would have added a lot to it. Also, Rose, the main character, is just a total wet blanket. She has no spine, and I read about 30% of the book, and I love character growth, so I don't mind characters who are maybe kind of spineless or maybe a little bit, you know, a little bit more kind of annoying to read, I guess. But I think that I had no indication that she was going to grow. When you read those kinds of characters in the beginning, you want some kind of idea that at some point they're going to grow as people, and she was just a bit sad. She was sort of letting life happen to her. She had no agency, and it's totally fine if the author wanted to tell a character like that story. I just don't like those kinds of characters because I find them really, like, I sympathize, but at the same time I'm like, you can grow a spine, girl, like, come on. She's just pushed around constantly, and it's just like, oh my god, I got really annoyed with her. So I ended up DNFing that book, which is a shame. It just wasn't for me. If it does sound like something you're interested in, the kind of the plot line of sort of whether or not these fairies are real, what was going on, whether this was a hoax or not, that was really interesting. It just didn't take up enough of the book to like keep me reading. So once I dislodged Dax from my arm, I think I'm going to go ahead and sit in the tub and do some reading. I'm going to pick up The Unbroken again. I'm hoping to have this finished by tomorrow evening because starting tomorrow we have the Sweep Up Your Smalls readathon that my friend Asha is running as kind of a companion to Conquer a Chonker, which still always makes me laugh. And this is for short books, books under 300 pages. So I have my TBR right behind me. I can't quite reach it because I've got a chubby cat on me, but I'll go ahead and show you what I'm planning to read tomorrow. I picked out 3 novellas and I'm really excited for all of them. They're all things that just kind of slipped between the cracks in my bookshelves, not literally, and they're ones that I just never got around to even though I was so excited for all of them. So that's going to be really, really good. I'm really looking forward to that, but I want to get myself ready for that readathon by finishing my 500-page book. Okay, so it is Friday. It is technically the start of the Sweep Up Your Smalls readathon, but I have done a deal with myself. I have to finish The Unbroken before I can start any of these other books. I started this last week without having finished Network Effect, which I've made no progress on in the week since, so I'm going to actually like try to finish a book. What a concept, before I start on anything new. I am so close to the end of this. I'm almost 70% through, and I am loving it. I think that according to my Kindle, I have like 3 hours left. That like reading time thing is never accurate, but it does give a nice little kind of benchmark for how much you actually have left to read. So yeah, I'm going to be finishing this. I'm still loving it. It's really great. I'm just not finding as much time to read as I usually do. In these vlogs, I usually finish like 2 or 3 books maybe, but I'm really hoping to finish this one today so that I can move on to my tiny books. So the books that I did choose that I didn't show you the other day because Dax was sitting on my arm are Brothers Ruin by Emma Newman, one of my absolute favorite authors ever. I love her sci-fi books. I've never read her fantasy, and this is gaslight fantasy, so it's kind of like Victorian-y fantasy, and it looks really, really good. So I'm very excited for this. I think there's a sequel to this one, so if I end up loving this, I can go ahead and pick that one up. Then I picked The Four Profound Weaves by R.B. Lemberg. I heard a little bit about this last year. People were really loving it, and I posted a picture of this on Instagram with the other books that I am planning on reading in my stories, and actually a bunch of people messaged me and were like, I love that book so much. So this looks really good. This is one of those ones where if I look at the back, my eyes kind of glaze over, but I do know that it is a very LGBTQ friendly fantasy kind of fairy tale. So this looks really good. I've been excited to read that for a really long time. It's been sat on the shelves forever. And then I have Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker, who is Shannon McGuire. This is the story within a story from Middle Game. There's kind of like a fairy tale book that is woven throughout Middle Game, which is her big, big chunky book. And she basically wrote that. And this has a sequel that is coming out this year. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I really love her writing. I think that she's just fabulous. If I finish those, it would be a lot of reading if I did finish those, but I received my copy of When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nai Vo. This is the sequel to The Empress of Salt and Fortune. This was one of my favorite books of last year. I basically decided to buy a couple of books to celebrate some good news that I had, is it this week or last week? Last week and this week, for work related reasons. So I decided to pick up a couple of books, and I don't usually buy physical copies of novellas, but the first one was so good that I decided I wanted these. So yeah, I think that I am going to love this second one just strictly based on how much I loved the first. So if I finish those three, I'll do When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain. The third book that I bought for myself, this is unrelated to this weekend's reading, but just as I'm showing off books that I've bought, I picked up a copy of The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. She usually is known, I think, for writing horror. So I've talked about her books before because I've had them on my TBR, but I've not actually read any of them yet. But this one is her new one, and this is super buzzy. Everyone is talking about this. It got a really fabulous, I don't know if you can see that, a really fabulous blurb from Stephen King, who says, I haven't read anything this exciting since Gone Girl, which is quite exciting because I loved Gone Girl when I read it. So this looks like a kind of like thriller, maybe a little bit of horror, I'm not entirely sure, book, and I'm very, very excited for this. I say this all the time, I don't usually tend to read horror, I don't usually tend to read thrillers, but finding a good thriller that totally knocks your socks off, like Gone Girl did when I read it, Jesus, ages and ages and ages ago, is like the best reading experience ever. I love that, and I'm chasing the high of Gone Girl, and I've never quite managed to reach it again. The Girl on the Train came close, but I have really high hopes for this. I think this is going to be great. So I'm going to go ahead and fall asleep on the sofa for a little bit during my lunch break, and then I am going to do some reading tonight when work is done. Hello, it's Saturday, finally. This week feels like it's gone on absolutely forever. It is time for my Sweet Beer Smalls readathon, which I think I mentioned yesterday. I think I also mentioned yesterday that if I hadn't finished The Unbroken, that I wasn't going to start my books for this readathon. I read nothing yesterday, and I think part of the reason for that is due to the fact that Scottish husband and I decided we were going to play Pokemon Crystal together, which was amazing, like super nostalgia. It's my favorite game. I remember when it came out and it was like the most exciting thing in the world for me. So like, yes, that was amazing. We spent all evening doing that, and we had a chat with my family as well. The reason I've got my headphones on is because I was listening to like podcasts and stuff, and I was like, oh, I should film my clip. But I just painted my nails, so I don't want to like risk, smudging them, because I've already taken it all off and put it back on again because I tried to fold clothes with wet fingernails. That was a really bad idea, so don't mind the headphones. But when I do finish The Unbroken, which is totally going to happen today, I think I have like 3 hours or so left, I am going to do my Tiny Books readathon. I've added another thing to that pile because I have no self-control. I was actually trying to find this the other day specifically so that I could read it for this readathon, and I could not find it, and then I literally turned around today and was like, oh, it's right in front of my face. So this is Redemption in Indigo by Karen Lord. Angela from Literature Science Alliance loves Karen Lord and has highly recommended this book to me. And I've had it on my shelf for ages because I bought it on her recommendation. I haven't read it yet. And this fits the prompts for the Tiny Book Readathon. So this is 276 pages. Apparently it's also a retelling of Caribbean folklore, and I just did a video on retellings. So this seems like it's going to be kind of the perfect thing. So if I don't manage to get to this for this weekend, I am hopefully going to be tacking it on to next week because it's high time I actually pick this up. Okay, I'm gonna go read now, I swear. I'm not gonna play Pokemon. I am going to actually read. It's gonna be a thing that happens. I'll report back. So, I am an idiot, and I decided to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning finishing The Unbroken, which was great because it was so good. The last 25% was like breakneck, and like it was really hard to put down, but I might be broken now slightly. I can't do this thing of staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning to finish a really good book anymore because my body will be broken for at least 3 days, which is not great. So Dax and I are cuddled in bed. This is part of our routine. She likes to do this. She's partially under the blanket. We've got Sophia's storming up my legs now, so I've got some really good company. So I think I'm gonna lay here thinking about what I've done for a little bit. And then I am going to go ahead and get started on my stack of novellas. I would like to finish 4 of them today. Whether or not that's going to happen remains to be seen. I don't know, but it's a lofty goal, but I think it's one that we could achieve if we put our minds to it. Hey, Dax? Yes, she loves reading days because it means that I sit still and don't move for extended periods of time. Okay, so it is much later on in Sunday. It is about 6 o'clock in the evening, and I'm going to wrap up this vlog so that I can get it uploaded. It's mostly edited. I'm just going to stick on this last clip and then pop it up on YouTube. So hello, everyone. From the not so distant past, if you're watching this today. I do have some lofty goals for reading today. I don't know how I'm going to end up reaching them because I fell asleep for about 4 hours this afternoon because I didn't sleep last night because I was reading The Unbroken. But I'll go over what I'm hoping to maybe squeeze in this evening. If I do a vlog next week, you never know if I'm actually going to do one or not, then I will talk about those books then. Otherwise, I'll talk about them in my wrap-up because we're coming up at the end of the month. But just a quick review of what I read. I did finish, finally, The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I loved this. I thought this was so, so good. A really powerful book. And I think that I'm gonna have a lot of thinking to do before I kind of like do a review of it. So I'm gonna talk about this more in my March wrap-up. But I thought this was so good. I'm probably going to land on a 4.5 out of 5-star rating for this one. I did DNF a book this week. I DNF'd The Cottingley Cuckoo by E.J. Elwood. I'm going to need to actually remember this author's name. I'll put the cover up on the screen like I usually do. This one just wasn't for me. I talked about it earlier on this vlog. It was not my jam. It'll work great for other readers, but it just wasn't for me, sadly. I did, this morning, finish When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nai Vo, which I also loved, which was not a surprise whatsoever, given how much I liked the first book in the series, and I think it's just a duology, which is a shame, because I would love to come back to this world. But this was fabulous. I love the storytelling aspects of this book, and this one is basically takes the idea of someone telling a story and someone else kind of like correcting it from their point of view. It was really, really fun. I love her writing so much. I think she's so fabulous, and I'm really looking forward to her next book, which is a Great Gatsby reimagining. So I'm looking forward to reading that, but at this point I will read anything that she writes. So currently I am about 75 pages into Brothers Ruin by Emma Newman. I am liking this so far. It doesn't have that kind of same hook that her sci-fi does for me. Although to be fair, I think this is maybe a little bit older than some of her sci-fi, so she might have kind of like been developing her craft or whatever. But she's one of my favorite sci-fi authors, and I'm very curious to see how this one is going to play out. It's kind of Victorian magic. It's interesting. It's good so far. But I'll report back on this in my March wrap-up. And the other two books that I am hoping to read today, we'll see if that happens, and maybe we'll be able to cram one of these in, is The Four Profound Weaves by R.B. Lemberg and Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker, aka Shannon McGuire. Whichever one of these I don't end up reading, or if I don't end up reading either of them, I'm going to move over into next week because I've really enjoyed having some kind of shorter things to sink my teeth into after something so long like The Unbroken. I'm just not quite reading things at the pace that I usually do, but I can tell that I'm starting to get my reading brain back on track, which is great. So hopefully April will be a stronger month for reading. We'll see. But I think that these are really going to help sort of like be like a palate cleanser between longer books. So that is it for this week's reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed it, getting a glimpse into my slightly chaotic but quiet life. I would love to hear in the comments below if you have read any of these books, if they are in your TBR, what you thought of them. Also, if you are on TikTok, but especially book TikTok, let me know because I would love to follow you. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.